Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Gloria Andrade and it's a pleasure to be here. Things have certainly changed as a result of the coronavirus pandemic. We hope you and your loved ones are safe. During these unprecedented times, we at the Center for Autism and Early Child Mental Health at Montclair State University are committed to support you. We have created a series of webinars in response to the pandemic. We would like to offer a regulating, relating, caring, and learning experience that reaches out to childcare providers, teachers, social workers, healthcare providers, parents, and anyone else who is in contact with children during this crisis. We are recording these webinars to provide information and insights to better understand and respond to infant, toddlers, and young children at time of heightened stress and trauma. Today, I'm going to elaborate on the topic of affective reciprocity, why back and forth interactions are needed for our relationships and our brains. We are asking you to share this information with others. However, we must also remind you that these webinars are not for sale. Infant and early childhood mental health is an interdisciplinary field concerned with optimal physical, social, emotional, and cognitive development within the context of children's family. At the center, we believe that emotional and relational well-being are the foundations of developmental and educational progress. Today's agenda includes emotions and affect, the brain, affect and the brain, social context, relationships, challenges, and how to enhance our new ways of communication. All development occurs within the context of relationships. Full range of emotions cannot exist out of human interaction. When that responds to the baby, that baby turns arousal into a pleasant or unpleasant experience. These interactions, called serve and return, create a variation in the affect and create a physiological process that supports the social and emotional development of the child. This presentation will make us wonder about the messages we are sending and the sensory experiences and need for nurturance in the infant and toddler. So let's think about it. Emotions, affect. Children feel directly or indirectly through our relationships, especially their primary relationships. With physical distancing now becoming part of ordinary social life, we may feel that we are losing an important source of emotional comfort. The language of interactions involves different modalities and intensities. So, what are emotions? Emotions can be reflected in our faces, and they refer to our feeling state like happy, sad, angry, that we are aware of and project in social situations. On the other hand, affect as the base for connectivity early in life and through our life is more unconscious. It is a motivational force. It is the leading way and is seen as integrating all experiences. So let's review some information about the brain. Because if we think that relationships are supported through brain chemistry, we need to gain a little bit of understanding of what it's that we're talking about. So you are seeing a brain on the left, and on the right, you're going to see the hand model of the brain. So we're going to start with the left by saying that the deepest and oldest part of the brain is the brain stem. It's the part that you see in red, our survival brain. It takes in information from the body and helps to regulate basic functions like breathing, temperature control, circulation, and so on. In addition, the brain stem has a set of regions that create the fly, fight, freeze, and faint response that comes on when we feel threatened, creates a reactive state. Now, working very close with the brain stem is the limbic area, the one that you see in blue. Together, they create emotions to motivate us to drive our behavior. The limbic area appraises the meaning of things, whether things are significant or not, good or bad, safe or dangerous, and is there with memories connected to the hippocampus and the amygdala. These limbic functions are connected to the upward part of the brain, the cortex, which you can see in green. That region makes maps of the outside world with our senses. This is the thinking brain. So on your right side, you see the Daniel Siegel proposed the handy model of the brain. And in this model, if you raise your hand, if you raise your open hand, as if you were making a pledge, and imagine that your thumb represented the amygdala and the hippocampus, as illustrated in this slide. Now you place your thumb in the palm of your hand, and then you cover your thumb with your fingers, the cortex. So this, just like the brain, your amygdala and other limbic structures are buried deep within the brain and covered above by the cortex. So your top thinking brain, it's interconnected with your lower feeling survival brain. Language, cognition, emotional, and social skills are learned through emotionally meaningful, affectively charged relationships where affect is the key. So let's go a little deep with the amygdala, because this structure is part of the limbic system and in the development of brains in the development of brains in babies. This structure, based on real experience with caregivers and the world, begins to get wired to process, interpret the meanings of those new experiences. And because the amygdala is connected to other parts, other brain regions, what happens in the amygdala affects the entire brain. So how affect and the brain are connected? Well, affect supports growth is tied to how we experience the world and is central to our ability to interact with others. Affective interactions underlie intelligence and social development. Big feelings and multisensory experience provide us with more avenues for storing and recalling memories. We all feel by emotional qualities and by physical properties. That's what we call dual coding. So when the baby thinks that the blanket is soft and comforting, or mommy is smiling and welcome him, he's usually using physical properties and emotional qualities to store that information. This double coding allows the child to cross-reference each memory or experience in a mental catalog of phenomena and feelings, and to reconstruct it when needed. When our brain discovers a pattern and creates a neurological pathway to represent that relationship, we need less effort to recognize, understand, and integrate this pattern, devoting more energy to other areas. We have to remember how our brain seeks to be as efficient as possible. So how is that we put it together? So we start by identifying affect. My affectively driven action may cause a reaction from another until there is a back and forth ring created. Affect is felt by a person, but it is also an interactive experience. Then identify themes and ideas. For that ring, I will begin to internalize affective patterns. First, from simple ones, like the peekaboo, it's fun, to more complex patterns, like when mommy smiles, I usually get what I want. These patterns will influence how I approach the world, the assumptions I make about others and myself. But the last one, respond by joint affect and ideas. How am I responded to will influence my interaction style, my ability to solve and persevere. Also, I have to take into account the degree which influences is being influenced by my individual differences. So for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, early development is embedded within the social context. Child caregiver interactions are critical to influence developmental and domains of functioning outcomes. Interactions with people stimulate the brain to release oxytocin, the love hormone, dopamine, the reward motivated behavior, and opioids, which is feeling of euphoria. Interaction with objects doesn't stimulate that release. Complex emotional and cognitive tasks begin with the ability to exchange signals with another person. Capacities for empathy, psychological mindedness, abstract thinking, social problem solving, functional language, and reciprocity all stem from the infant's ability to connect or intend to motor planning capacities and emergent symbols. Relationship between affect and top brain allows circles of affective interaction that are necessary for creative and abstract thinking. Empathy and theory of the mind capacities depend on the ability to understand both one's own affects or feelings and another person's affects or feelings, and to project oneself into the other person's mindset. Theory of the mind, it's about the understanding that the other person may have similar or different feelings, affects, ideas, and beliefs. That's why we see a 5-year-old that gives his mom a baseball for Mother's Day. He does not understand that his mother has a different mind than he does, because he thinks that he's liking it a baseball ball means that he also likes it. Long chains of social reciprocity, shared attention, shared problem solving depend on affect guiding interactive social behavior. In the second year, a child begins to use his affect to guide intentional problem solving behavior, and later on, meaningful use of language. Through many affective problem solving interactions, the child develops complex social skills and higher level emotional and intellectual capacities. So let's think, what happens in the absence of affect? The loss of engagement and intentional interactive relatedness to key caregivers may cause a child to withdraw more into her own world of ideas. Higher level capacities are affected because they depend on meanings, which in turn depend on affective interactions with the world. So the ability to engage in affect-mediated chains of social problem solving is challenged. The brain develops from bottom up. So when our basic emotional capacities are challenged, the ascendancy to a more complex central nervous system organization is challenged as well. So what are some of those challenges? What are the challenges we are currently facing? Technology and globalization are offering us opportunities that we didn't imagine before. However, with that come the challenges. How can we enhance our communication with children when we are using Zoom, FaceTime, or even face-to-face while wearing a mask? Body language. Body language plays an essential role in communication with people. It helps others identify our emotions and for us to identify their emotions. Nonverbal communication plays a significant role in conjunction with the spoken words. It comprises gestures, posture, facial expression, and movements we make of the different parts of our body when communicating with people. Many times, body language speaks more than words. Any sign of conflict between the body language and our words can make us appear untrustworthy and deceptive. So, be intentional expressing your affect. We are learning to navigate a difficult conversation. How to offer our children high levels of intensity in our circles of affective interaction when we feel limited in the physical expression of our emotions. We are asking to be intentional in expressing your affect. Include clarity, consistency, and content. Be creative, and more than anything, build that connection which is so needed for us as human beings. So, some strategies on how to enhance our new ways of communication. Play. Follow the child's lead. Use a range of different emotions and intensity. Be curious, confused, excited, scared, suspicious. Be dramatic. Use exaggerated actions or gestures. You could be fast, you could be slow, you could be loud, or you could be quiet. You could be big, or you could be little. Keep your affect and your actions consistent with what they are doing. Combine structure with unstructured activities, turn taking. The question is whether virtual affect manifestations can indeed give us comfort. The findings suggest that as the new rules of social interaction become part of our reality, our brain may react in ways that can actually provide us at least some consolation. Although we cannot enjoy a virtual meal in the same way we can an actual one, when it comes to affect, there is a reason to hope that our brain will be able to adapt and take this new reality. We hope you enjoyed this webinar and that you will take the time to watch the whole series. The MSU Center for Autism and Early Childhood Mental Health is a thought leading center focused on infant and early childhood mental health and developmental differences. If you have any additional questions, please contact us at the email or phone number including this slide. Be safe, and we hope to see you soon.